Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Stop sign. Cop stopped him. He says, "You didn't stop for that stop sign." Well, he says, "I slowed down." He says, "Get out here." And he started hitting him with a club. And he says, "Do you want me to slow down or do you want me to stop?" And I know some guys that have done that too. Now we're going to start from the oldest. We have 3 categories, from 20 to 29, 30 to 39, and 40 and older. So we're going to start with the one with the longest term, and we're going to call 4 people up at a time. And soon as to rush the process, you understand? If they're sitting way back there, they can't get here, you know. We lose some time. So I'm going to call 4 up. I'm going to call 4 people up right now, and the first one is Lois Montgomery with 47 years. Harvey Andrews with 46. Kathleen Blake with 45. Yeah, you have to walk over. And Bob Darden with 45. No, stay over there. Stay over there. That's why we have those chairs. You see those 4 chairs? That's why we have 4 chairs.
I walk across the stage.
Oh. Okay, Lois, you're first. Lois M. I want to tell you something. She hates to do this, you know. She wouldn't sign it up, so some dear friend of hers signed her in. I've known her for 40 years, and she's a great woman.
Ah, thank you. I'm Lois, and I'm an alcoholic. The person that called me in was my baby sponsor, and I remember Bob Lempke when he was thin and new. And we all started in Glendale together, but I have been sober a long time. And when I walked in to my first meeting, I walked in and I looked at all of the people, and you know, then everybody was really old. And I answered 18 out of 20 questions yes. And they said, "Sit down and shut up, you're in the right place." And you know, I've sort of been doing that ever since. It's hard for me to stand up and talk in front of people. I do all right in jail, and I do all right in meetings when I can sit down. Caution, 1 minute. And, you know, for all of the years I've been in AA, 40 years ago, I went to the roundup at the Riviera Hotel in Palm Springs, and Maury Scanlon was running it, and you know, it's a long time ago. But I have, through the years, I am glad I'm an alcoholic. You know how you go, you don't want to be one, and then you're grateful, but I am glad because it's given me a whole life that you just would never believe. And all my people from Dana Point, California, I'm just so happy to be here. Thank you very much for letting me share.
Harvey.
My name is Harvey Andrews, and I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Harvey.
I got sober December the 29th, 1957, in Covina, California, sobriety capital of the world. They pay me to say that every year, but I'm glad I'm here. And I've been in AA all this time, and I've been all over the world in Alcoholics Anonymous. I've traveled, and I enjoyed it so much. The things that I've had to do or got to do during my sobriety. And I got to know our founder of AA, Bill Wilson, very well. And I've been into his house, and I've had dinner with him. And I used to dance with Lois. She wouldn't jitterbug with me, but she would dance with me. And it was a great thing to really know the person there. If I had a little time, I'd tell you about a story that happened. And Bill Wilson come out in 1960 at a convention in Long Beach. And I can't remember all the guys who did the things, but he says, I got 42 minutes left. Yeah, but at the end, Peggy Lee was there, and Peggy Lee sang the Lord's Prayer at the end of the meeting, and Bill got done. And then one of the guys got up and said, let's light a match or light a torch. This is for the guy who hasn't made it here yet. And there's lighting matches and torches all over the place. And at the end of the song that Peggy Lee was singing, the Lord's Prayer, at the end of that, we were supposed to blow out all the candles and the torches. Nobody got a chance to, because at the end of the song, the wind come up and blew all the candles out. And everybody looked at one another and says, you think he's here? Where else would he be? Thank you.
Kathleen.
My name is Kathleen, and I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Kathleen.
My sobriety date is September the 4th, 1958, and I'm happy I'm still here. What can I say in a few minutes? Alcohol, Johnny said it all, and that's the way I learned AA. I didn't chant, I didn't do anything, I just sat there and shut up. And I do pretty much the same thing today, because I found out I don't know very much. The older I get, the less I know. And my sponsor had a saying one time when I had a problem, and I was all upset because I thought I should know what I was doing, and everything was about 10 years. And he says, Kathleen, what do you say in meetings? And I said, what do you mean what I say in meetings? He said, what do you say? I said, I don't say anything. He says, yes, you do. What do you say? I say I'm Kathleen. I'm an alcoholic. He said, that's right, and always remember that, because you will always be that. Thank you.
Robert.
My name is Bob. I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Bob.
My sobriety date is January 19th, 1959. I started in Reseda, California at a speaker meeting in an upstairs park building. And the secretary of that meeting at that time, when they're gone, I break their anonymity, was a guy named Stan Dean. I think he was sober 55 years when he passed away. And Stan was a traveling salesman. And in those days, there weren't the freeways that there are now, and he and Irma had 7 boys, so she was busy. And there was many a Monday night when Stan was going to be late, he would call Irma and say, run over there and unlock the meeting till the guys get there and make the coffee. I'll be there later. And Irma would do that. I mean, the city wouldn't pass out keys to everybody, so they had one. Many, many years later, I spoke at a hospital meeting in San Fernando. I got there early. Is Shirelli here? I had a suit and tie on. And the guy said, are you the speaker? And I said, yeah. Are you the secretary? He said, no, they're gone. There are 2 of them. He's playing golf in Palm Springs, and she's attending another meeting, okay? And he said, if there's nobody here at 8:20, we're leaving, okay? So we all left. Some new guy came stumbling in the door and said he had to go to a meeting, so I took him to one on a Saturday night. And I thought back, what would have happened had Irma said, I'm too busy? And if I had walked up to that, took all I could do. It took me 3 weeks to get up the courage to go to that meeting. I was 27 years old. If I'd have walked up to that door that night and it was locked, and a note on there said, Irma's too busy, or whatever, I might have died. I might have died. So if you people, wherever you live, I'm not lecturing you, but for God's sake, keep the doors open. I don't care if there's 2 of you there or 1 of you there, make the coffee and stay there, because some sicko like me might show up and say, screw them, because that's the kind of attitude I had. I didn't want anything to do with anybody, anytime, and I sat there with a scowl on my face for weeks at a time until some guy was picking chairs up one night and dropped 3 of them and said, will you help me? And I did. And I got to know him. His name is Roy. He's in Hemet, and he's still sober. He's got 8 days on me. That's the only one I know of that's still alive from that time. But AA works, obviously, you know. And here I am, the youngest one again. Thanks.
Okay. Michael Morris. Norm Sprunk. And Glenn Loyster. Glenn, why don't you come up right now?
My name's Glenn Loyster, and I'm an alcoholic. And I haven't had a drink of alcohol or any other chemical that affects me from the shoulders up since December 29th, 1963, and for that I'm profoundly grateful. And during that whole 40-plus years, I've always had a home group, and I've always had a sponsor. And more important than that, I not only have a sponsor, I am sponsored. And I'm glad to be here this morning in the words of a famous American who henceforth shall be referred to as my sponsor. You know, I'm glad to be anywhere, fully clothed, sober, in my right mind. And that same sponsor also tells me that leaders should lead, and Bob's doing that, and speakers should speak, and I'm not one of them. And if I'm not, I should go and sit down and listen, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Thanks for being here.
Hi, my name is Mike, a grateful recovering alcoholic. And since I only got 2 minutes for 40 years, I don't know how to do it. But I'll tell you how I got here. I was managing a Little League team, and my son was on the team. And this was in Queens, New York, and got into the car after the game, and the car was weaving. And he said, Daddy, why is the car weaving? And I welled up because I wanted to tell him that his father was a drunken bum. Because I drank every day, not a fall-down drunk. I was not a bar drinker. I drank at home, and I got drunk every day. And I wanted to stop, and I didn't know how to stop. I tried every which way, from Chapter 3, for vacations, sherry, scotch, whatever it was. I couldn't do it. I couldn't stop drinking. Finally, my sister-in-law told me, why don't you try AA? And I heard of AA. I read the Jack Alexander article and all of that, but I thought a drunk was falling down, didn't know what to do, had convulsions or whatnot, and I wasn't like that. Well, I came to AA, I called AA the next morning, and that was April 15th, 1964. And 2 fellas came over and shared their experience, strength, and hope with me, and they told me if I could get to a meeting, please come, and I said I'll try, and it was the first time I had a little honesty, and I managed my way into Forest Hills, Queens, and I went into the Forest Hills group, and I haven't had a drink up to this day, thank the Lord, or whatever it is, my higher power, and I love AA, and I love all you people, and just all keep coming back. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Norm, and I'm an alcoholic. I want to thank my God for allowing me to be here. I want to thank you folks, too. I have a home group, which is in Bellflower, Big Book Group. Have a sponsor named Johnny H. And I've always had a sponsor. I've only had 2. floated around for a long time in different groups, but I've been at this one here for 18 years now. I want to thank a guy named John Eske, God bless his soul, he's already passed away. He carried the message to me while I was in the state penitentiary, and he laid it so heavy that I'm still here, and it's good. I don't know how many people here that carries institutional message to the people inside, but if you do, I want to thank you because it was good for me. It was really good. As always, my leg is just moving like crazy. I'm nervous. This is not my cup of tea, but I'm your doorman. I have been for the last 37 years, a doorman, shaking hands. A lot of you that I know your faces, but I don't know your names, but you'd say hi to me every year. Well, it's good to see you again, and I thank you, folks. Thank you very much.
Now that completed the people over 40. And in the 7 people that participated, we had 303 years of sobriety already. Pretty good start. Now we're going from the people with 30 through 39 years. Will Pat O'Kay, Keith Carpenter with 37. Pat O'Kay has 39. Alex F. with 35. Pat R. with 36. Pat O'Kay will be the first one. 39 years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Pat O'Kay, and I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Pat.
And God, last year I didn't get up here, and Clancy gave me hell because I had a bathing suit on, and I was a mess, and I didn't sign in. And I said, well, I was taught, well, when you get to the podium, you look nice. He said, who told you that? But anyway, my sobriety date is September 5th, 1964. I'm originally a New Yorker, and I come from a long line of drunks. I came to California and wound up in Northern California with my husband, and I hated it where I was because I hated me, but that was where I was supposed to be because that's where I got sober, in San Jose, California. And I got on my knees one day on Labor Day weekend, and after, 15 years of drinking, and you can't be a drunk on beer, right? And but I was. And I got on my knees and I said, God, I can't live this way anymore. And my God, who I thank first and foremost, took it from me, and I surrendered that day. And AA was my answer. It still is my answer. It always has been my answer. This is my brother, Duke, and he's got 31 years. You'll hear my husband later. He's got 33. I'm here with some gals from the town I live in Northern California again, after living in San Diego for over 30 years. And they're here. My daughter has almost 7 years, and she's here with 3 new gals. And I always get choked up when I say that because does AA work or does it, I mean, there is no middle-of-the-road solution. That's what the book says. And there hasn't been for me. I've never reached a point where I said, I've had it with AA. I love Alcoholics Anonymous. I love my God. I love all the people that God allows me to work with, and they bring joy to my life and keep me the hell out of me, and that seems to be the secret. And action is definitely the magic word. When you think you can't keep on going, you just keep on going, and you just, it gives you such joy in your heart. And this roundup, okay, stop. My husband and I have been coming since the old Riviera days, too, with our little kids, and now they're all grown up. So thank you very much. I love you all. Thank you.
Keith.
Keith Carpenter, alcoholic. Good to be here. It's a fantastic thing to see a whole bunch of old timers. You know, it's AA is changing. It's when I came into the program, it seemed to be different. I don't know. We used to feed the newcomers, you know, the AA cocktail. You know, orange juice, Caro syrup, and honey. Remember that? Yeah. I even had one. I locked him in my garage for a week so he wouldn't get out. You know, and I had a little house behind my house, and there was usually one or two in there, you know. But they all didn't stay sober, you know, but I did, you know. This program is so strong on one drunk talking to another drunk. God, you know. And it used to be that, you know, I remember Kent Weber and I got a call one time. A guy was drunk down in a little clubhouse in South Bay. And so we drove down there, and he had his van because it said the guy was passed out. So we drove down and put him in the van, you know, took him to a little motel on Ventura Boulevard. And on Ventura Boulevard, it was $19 a night. And we stayed with him. We fed him the cocktail, you know. And, you know, the guy's still sober today, you know. I don't know. It seems like I get more out of talking to drunks than I do taking them to a treatment center. You know, it just seems like you take them, you drop them off, and it's, you know, it's not like that. You know, this program is drunks talking to drunks. And God, I hope that we in this room and in rooms like this all over the world, we're the only people that can carry the message to another drunk. Nobody else can carry the message. It's been proven over many thousands of years. So I just hope that I can keep talking to drunks, and I hope that I've been coming to this thing since 1968. I'm 37 years sober, July 20th. I've been married to the same woman for 55 and a half years, you know. Have the same sponsor for 37 years. And I hope it stays that way because my life couldn't be any better today. It's because of people like you and people that come before me. Thank you very much.
Pat.
Yeah, I am Pat Roth, and my sobriety date is March the 20th, 1968, and I'm an alcoholic. And the first lady that spoke, oh gosh, I forgot already what I was going to say about her. I really identified with her. It'll come later. Anyway, this is why I don't like to talk. Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, she said. she said she didn't like to stand up front at a podium and speak. And I really identified with her because I can sit down in a chair and speak, or I can stand in a corner, but to stand at a podium, no. I'm a very grateful alcoholic. When I first got here, that was the dirtiest word I ever heard, that A word, and I wasn't going to mention it to anybody. And today, it's the sweetest word I ever heard because it changed my life. AA changed my life. I was such a negative person, and I had myself dying and everything all my life, you know, and today I'm a very happy person. I enjoy life, and I learned from you people how to live, and I'm still learning. And they say more will be revealed. In the last 2 years, I can't believe it. More has been revealed. Some of it I didn't like to see very well. But I'm very happy to be here. This is my third year. 30 years ago, I came to this meeting. I think it was in Palm Springs, the Riviera Hotel. And I hadn't been back since, but I intend to come back every year. And I love you people. I love this program. And thank you so much.
Alex.
Hi, friends. My name is Alec, and I'm a very grateful alcoholic. I don't want to forget that when I was new in the program, it took me about 3.5 years before I got a day of sobriety. And then when I did eventually get sober, it took me, I ran around this program for 6.5 years with an untreated case of acute alcoholism. If I had knew better, I'd have done better. Tonight I had the privilege of meeting two members of AA from my hometown back in Scotland. They walked in tonight, and it was such a great surprise, you know, to see them. But I'm sober today by what I didn't want in the beginning. I'm sober today by the grace of God, the principles of the program, and the fellowship. And I don't want to forget that. I don't come to AA to be successful today. I come here to be faithful to the God of my understanding, to be faithful to those principles, and to be faithful to the fellowship. For success is not what I have today. Success is what I have overcome. And I don't want to forget that. You know, in our book, I like to say this every time I get the opportunity. This is a program, it's all about love. You know, and it says in our book, AA is a synthesis of all the greatest philosophies ever written based on love. And it says there is but one code in Alcoholics Anonymous. That's love and tolerance of others. An old singing Sam from Long Beach used to always say, a song is not a song until you sing it. And a bell is not a bell until you ring it. And love was not put in the hearts of men to stay. Love is not love until you give it away. Then we had young Dr. Steve, who's going to lead the meeting tomorrow night. And he's a doctor, and he said at the meeting one night, he says, you know, if I could write a prescription for this program, it would be one word, and that one word would be love. And one of the patients says, but doctor, what if that don't work? He says, just double the dose. There's an old lady who used to go to the meetings that I went to regularly, and she used to say, and I'm saying it to you tonight, and I had it said earlier, I love all of you. I love every one of you. And if you don't love me, you don't know what you're missing.
Okay, Danny L. Now we're starting at 33. Bernice L. with 33. Bernie OK with 33. Gay Henchy, 33. And Robert Scalise with 33. Okay, Danny.
Danny, alcoholic.
Hi, Danny.
I'd like to say I'm no authority on nothing. I don't claim to be. I didn't come here to win friends and influence people. I came here because alcohol was killing me. It's important I remember that. I don't know about you, but I have a tendency to forget things. I never want to forget where I come from. How easy it is to go back there. I just want to clarify something here this afternoon. Somebody got up here before me, who has more time than I do, and said that some other place was the sobriety capital of the world. Well, we are registered down in Indio as the sobriety capital of the world and the sobriety capital of the desert also. I'm not up here to cause no resentments or anything. I love Alcoholics Anonymous, you know, and when I got here, I didn't love anything or anybody. You know, if I couldn't use you, I didn't want to have nothing to do with you. You know, and the easy ones twice. You know, my whole life has changed in here. I've got a son here now. He's coming up on the 9 years, and that's a big deal to me. You know, when I got here, I didn't have no children or no family. And I was ashamed of the fact that I had I had run away because they wanted me to grow up. And I refused to grow up. So I had to go do everything I had to go do in order to get here. And I've been in a lot of institutions also. Psycho wards, jails, penitentiaries. But you all changed all that. And it's all about spending time with the newcomer, who scares the shit out of me at times, and pardon my language. I'm just glad you're here, and I'm glad I'm here. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Bernice. I'm an alcoholic. I have a little raspy throat. My sobriety date is April 18th, 1971. Dottie Harris is my sponsor. I'm delighted to be here. I don't think anyone in this room is here because they drank a little bit. So I'm not going to go on about what an alcoholic I am. I want to, though, mention that I'm here today. I'm experiencing a really, really major crisis in my life with a loved one in my family, and I chose to be here a few hours these days simply because I know there's a lot of power here. There's a lot of love and power here. That's what this thing is, and I can leave my family and come over here and get some strength and go back there and do the things I need to do. I want to thank all of you for that.
Hi, my name's Gay, and I'm a very grateful alcoholic. And I am so glad to see my Radford friends here. I got sober on March 20th, 1971 at the Radford Clubhouse, North Hollywood, California. And I've been living in the desert for over 20 years now, and I love it here. And I love this convention. I, too, started coming here at least 30 years ago, and it was the biggest thing that I had ever seen, 3,000 people, 4,000, and Keith C. out there in the pool hooting and hollering, and we were all young once. But it was so much fun, and I've had the same sponsor for 28, 29 years, and her name is Albertine from Radford. And I am so grateful to be here, and thank you.
Robert?
My name is Robert Scalise, and I am a happy alcoholic. My first drunk was August 18th, 1945 in Brooklyn, New York. And my last drunk was January 20th, 1971 in San Luis Obispo. My home group is the Serenity Capital World of the World Group of Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't know about the... I say I'm a happy alcoholic, and for the newcomers, I was not a happy alcoholic when I came to this program. As you probably know, I came from New York, and if you ever ask a New Yorker for directions, the first thing he'll say is, you can't get there from here. He'll refer you to go to someplace else, and then from there, you go to there. And it's the same thing with this program. I could not have gotten to where I'm at today from where I was at when I first came into this program without going through, as Carl Jung was telling Roland Ball at the beginning in page 28, without going through the huge emotional rearrangement and displacement. I had to give up all my old ideas and go through that change. But I am a happy, joyous, and free person today through people like you. Thank you for welcoming me into your hearts and into your lives. Thank you very much.
Bernie.
Hi, my name's Bernie O'Kelly. I'm an alcoholic. Good to be here. Good to be sober. I was reflecting when I was, that's a bad thing to do for an alcoholic, and reflect. I was thinking about when I was sitting back there how nice and clear this room is, and thinking back to the early days in the early 70s of being in the Riviera in the banquet room when the smoke in there, the air was blue, and you could almost see people 3 tables away, you know? And nobody knew any different. It didn't matter, you know? I never wasn't really much of a smoker myself, even thinking about it in the meetings when people smoked and never paid any attention to it, you know? But God, I can see everybody in the room now. Isn't that fantastic? What a change. Hi, yeah, I see you back there. Yeah. See Keith up here. Keith, when I came in AA and we used to drive, well, for me, it was about 120 miles one way to go up to the Pacific Group. We used to go up, and Keith was one of the big guys, he had 5 years. Yeah. And Tommy Carrington had 5 years, and I think John Flynn had a couple of years, and Clint Hodges had 5 years, and there was a whole guy. They were the big guys, you know. I don't know if you ever played with big guys when you were a little kid. There was always the big guys, and you always wanted to be a part of the big guys. Well, I didn't want to be a part of those big guys. But it was, being sober in AA it's been the most fantastic thing that's ever happened in my life. And my wife was kind of a pathfinder for us, and she was up here earlier, and, she's coming up on 40 years in September. And I remember that weekend very, very well. I really remember that weekend. It was a fantastic weekend, a very emotional weekend. It's the first time that I offered to go out and get booze for my wife. We weren't a Days and Wine and Roses couple. I hated to see her drink. She was a total pain in the ass, you know? I mean, I wasn't even lighting the fuse and she was gone, you know? But it got bad, watching her with the shakes every day, and it really, the humor went out of it quick, and I remember that weekend, and I said to her, I'll go out and get you some booze. She said, no, I'm going to shake this thing out. And she shook it out on that Labor Day weekend, and she started the path, I got here, and I got a couple of nephews that got here, and Duke is here, and my daughter's over here. It's pretty much of a family affair, and thank God for Alcoholics Anonymous, and thank God for you people.
Now we get down to the 32s. Jim W. Come up. Dolores M. Graham M. Ralph DeVive. Graham Martin. And Johnny Mack. Dolores, you can come back here.
Hi, I am Dolores M. Martin, and I am an alcoholic. And my sobriety date is January 25th, 1972. And my home group is Seal Beach Monday Night Speaker, and my sponsor is Shirley. And now you know just about as much about me as I do. I love Alcoholics Anonymous. I just love it. It's given me so much. I have a daughter that's in your hands, not mine anymore. She belongs to you. And I have a wonderful family. I have children that love me today. Anyways, they tell me they do, and they act like it. And I'm just extremely fortunate. I love Alcoholics Anonymous. I know several of the people that have been up here, and I love them, and I love the newcomers. I hope there's a newcomer in here tonight to witness the fact that this program does work. There's no way I would still be here. I didn't want to be here. I didn't think I belonged here, but I'm here, and I'm still here, so it fits. If the shoe fits, wear it. Thank you.
Graham, you want a rebuttal to that?
I'm Graham Martin, and I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Graham.
And I guess Dolores must have wanted to be sure that I got up here twice, because she put my name down on the list, too. So I'm on there twice. But I have to be honest. The reason I came to Alcoholics Anonymous has to do with her. One night, she said to me, "What did I ever do to deserve a son of a bitch like you?" and that hurt my feelings. And I wanted what she had, and I was willing to go to any lengths to get it, so I came to AA. And I got sober in the San Bernardino area, and there's several people here tonight that are actually from that area. But I moved down to the beach, down to Huntington Beach, but my home group is Seal Beach Speakers, like Dolores, and my sponsor was Frank Honeycutt, and of course he passed away, and everybody misses him because he used to do this particular meeting here. In fact, he started it. He was the first one, and I love all of you, and God bless you all, and thanks for listening to me.
Jim?
My name's Jim Willard, and I'm an alcoholic. And former director of the Universe. And I came in at 10/10 of 71, and I wasn't alcoholic. Any of you that are new here, I was not alcoholic the day I came in here. I did like this gentleman before me. I had this girlfriend, and I was praying that she would marry me, and I'd do anything. And she told me she thought I was an alcoholic or a drunk or something, and that's the meeting she wanted me to go to. And so I acquiesced and went to this meeting. And 2 weeks later, I was well enough for her to marry me. And so be careful if you're new what you pray for, because there's a whole other story that follows that one. But in any event, relationship hasn't been my strong suit in here. And in any event, that what I wanted to share was that the guy that she brought me to here that night, I mean, I didn't have an ego or anything, but she put him up to this talk. I knew, and because he started talking, he's telling my story, and he started telling about things, and as I look back on it, it was more about how I felt, but I didn't know that then. And man, he just kept going, and then all of a sudden, it was where I was in my life, and he kept going. And man, it was like sitting there listening to your future. And so I was not convinced when I walked out of there that I was alcoholic, but I knew that if he was, I was. So I spent the next 2 weeks, I was an investigator, spent the next 2 weeks trying to figure out and investigating this guy to see whether or not he was an alcoholic. 2 weeks later, I was convinced he was an alcoholic, and that made me one. And I've been coming back here ever since, and God, I'm just thankful that I have. I love all of you. If you're new in here, this is the only place in the world where they're going to love you because you're an alcoholic and for no other reason. We don't care about your wife, or, well, some of us do maybe, but we don't care. But we don't care about your automobile, the house you live in, or anything like that. We love you because you're an alcoholic, and this is the only place that can happen. Thank you.
Ralph.
My name is Ralph DeVoe. I'm an alcoholic.
Ralph.
And I wanted to thank Lois for getting up here because it gave me a little inspiration to do it. Not so long ago, I was down in the Crown Valley meeting, and I thought, Jesus, I'm going to be the oldest guy at that meeting taking a cake. And Lois stood up and took hers. And once again, my ego was put in check. I don't like to do things like this. I do much better on a one-to-one basis. But I do this because I'm getting to the point where, as Lois set an example for the rest of us, it's time for me to start doing that more. I don't like to do this. It scares me. My sobriety date is 26 July 1971. I get sober at the Navy Alcohol Rehabilitation Center at Long Beach, California. I now live in Lake Forest. I have a sponsor. Her name is Ellis. She has 37 years. Her husband, Bill, has 29 years. And I work second shift. And so my home group is the noon meeting at the Saddleback Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous. If I'm not working with a newcomer and an Al-Anon meeting, I'm at that noon meeting every day. And I met and married a lady out of the rooms. That was kind of neat when you have to go to somebody's sponsor and get permission to get married. But that's what I did. And I think I had about 4 years and she had about 1 year. And I lost her about 4 years ago to cigarettes. And she was about 23 years sober. And so somebody asked me, why do you put your full name on your badge? And I have business cards, and and it has my full name and address on there too. And as I understand it, it was explained to me that Bill Wilson was very high on the spirituality of anonymity. And Dr. Bob said we're supposed to know as much about each other as we can. If I need your help, I need to know where you live, where you work, and your phone numbers and so on. And so I tried to do that over the years. And the other morning, I was in bed, and At 2 o'clock in the morning, a fellow called me. He was that close to taking a drink. And he'd call me on the phone, and he said, I need to talk. And I said, okay, talk. He said, no, I'm at your door. Thank you.
Okay, now we get to 31s. Well, wait. I'm for Johnny Mac.
I'm Peter Pan, and I'm an alcoholic. I'm Johnny Mac, and I am an alcoholic. And I'm the other guy for Alex's hometown in Scotland. I usually tell people I'm from New York. I've got a New York accent. But it's good being here tonight, the day, wherever. And sometimes I didn't know where I was at times, But anyway, it's good to see you, Alec, and it's great to see you, and I'm sorry to hear about the family and one thing or about. Anyway, for the new people in Alcoholics Anonymous, I beg you to stay. And if they're empty in here and wondering whether they're alcoholics or whether they're not alcoholics, I've got a wee story for you. You're either an alcoholic or you're not an alcoholic. And if you're not an alcoholic, then you don't have anything to worry about. But if you are an alcoholic, you have two things to worry about. You either go to Alcoholics Anonymous and get sober, or you'll continue to drink. And if you go to Alcoholics Anonymous and get sober, you won't have anything to worry about. But if you continue to drink, you'll have two things to worry about. You'll either die or you'll go insane. And if you go insane, you won't have anything to worry about. But if you die, you have two things to worry about. You either go to heaven or you go to hell. And if you go to heaven, you don't have anything to worry about. But if you go to hell, you've got one big thing to worry about, and that's where in hell are you going to get another drink?
Barbara O'Bannon. Is Barbara here? Barbara, you didn't put your... number of years, so that's why I come up here. Okay, now we get to 31s. Luther W., Ralph W., and Dan D. You didn't pick the number of years.
36, yeah.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Barbara, and I'm an alcoholic.
Barbara.
Better known as BYOB. I thought they were talking about me when they had that on the cards that said invited you. I wanted to share a story about the roundup. Most of it, or quite a few of you will remember Phil and Jane G. had come out to the roundup when it was over at the riverside, and the one little bellhop was watching him. And you have to remember that when we first came in, AA wasn't this well known. And the bellhop looked at Phil and said, "Do you mean to tell me none of those people is going to have a drink?" And Phil said, "You better hope not." My alma mater is North Hollywood in Malibu. I'm a baby of Albertine. I got sober with Gay's husband, the period of time, and I cannot. I really didn't want to come up here, and then they didn't call my name, and my feelings were hurt. You know. You better believe it. All I can say is this thrilling thing. I came in here just stark, raving mad, you know, and it took them 5 years before they threw a net over me, but in the meantime, I was getting better. And I cannot tell you the gratitude in my heart. Sometimes it almost hurts, you know. There's so much gratitude. I don't go to a lot of meetings. I can't drive nights. I have an eye problem. With one of my eyes is quite bad, and the other one's trying hard. And but I sponsor constantly. I cannot tell you the thrill, over and over and over. And Albertine used to say to me, I'd call her up and I'd say, "Albertine, can't really take any more newcomers." And Albertine said, "That's all right. You just sponsor somebody a little further along." Then I'd tell God, "No more newcomers." And within 5 minutes, I'd have a newcomer. So I work with quite a few newcomers, and I cannot tell you, over and over again, to see the light come back into people's eyes. And I am privileged to do that. And that's what they did for me. I love this way of life so very much, and thank you for letting me share.
Luther.
Hi, everybody. I'm Luther Wood, and I'm an alcoholic. Hi, Luther. Happy to be here. I love Alcoholics Anonymous. I always have. I always felt safe with you. Whatever you had was so special, and you had so much of it that it spilled all over me and still does. Yeah, I'm more excited. I'm 31. I'll be 32 in August. I'm more excited about AA, this program, and the people than I've ever been. I think that is a great message, that it gets better and better and better. There's a guy that saw me when I was brand new, Alec, saw me come to the program and befriended me then. And my wife put my name down on this list while I was parking the car, and I knew I wasn't going to get called on because there's so much time out here in the desert. You know, I felt like the newcomer all over again. These people have a lot of time out here, but Alex befriended me once again and introduced me. He never fails to introduce me. Whenever we're standing someplace, he wants to make sure that everybody knows me. And that's the song of Alcoholics Anonymous is being sung over and over and over. You know, I came. Let's see. The first convention I ever went to was in Sedona, and then the second one was in Palm Springs at the Riviera Club. I had about 6 months. And I have to tell you this story because I had to sit way down front. I had heard if you sit in the back, you'll be out the back door. So I had to sit down front, and that it was Friday night, and the dignitaries are there, and the mayor and all those people, and they're all giving these little speeches, and there's a policeman sitting there with his uniform on, and I did not like policemen because it seemed like every time I left my house, I got locked up, and so he kept staring at me, and Barbara, I could have listened to you all night in some bar, and I may have. So anyway, he kept staring at me, and I hear him say, "I think I know you." And I used to I've been coming to Palm Springs since I was a kid, and so I turned around and I said, "You do not know me." And so I turned my chair a little bit, and then he said, "I think I do know you." And I turned back and I said, "You do not know me," you know. And he said, "Well, let me ask you a question. Were you ever arrested in the middle of Palm Springs in the middle of the summer wearing white Bermudas and a fur coat?" And I said, "Well, you may know me." So I have to stop with that one. Thank you very much.
Ralph?
I'm Ralph, an alcoholic.
Hey, Ralph.
Good to see some people here from the Radford meeting. I haven't been up there in a lot of years, but I got my first meeting was there, and Eddie Reagan was my first sponsor. Larry Blake was the first one that yelled at me. I've had an experience in AA in the last couple of years that has really surprised me. I was going along good with a lot of years of sobriety. Everything was fine. I mean, things getting better and better. I was really grateful for my life and good life. And then one day I woke up and I realized I hadn't been looking at the signals, and I had became aware a few years ago that I was an old man. I'd gotten old in AA. And as that happened, I began to look around and realize that everything in my life was changing now that I was older. I no longer had the work that I loved. I have some work, but not the kind that I loved and was busy in and always active and doing things. I had, my health had some serious problems health-wise. I couldn't do a lot of things I always did physically, play tennis and be active. I mean, my marriage is turning into something that I didn't anticipate. It was changing. Actually, it's turned out to have changed for the better, but then it didn't feel like the kind of what I meant by marriage. My kids were all, I mean, they still are. They're going through divorces, and my grandkids, 13, is drinking, and all of a sudden I realized, Jesus, I went through a time, I can now understand why people in their 20s, you hear stories of people going out after 20 and 25 years, because I went into a kind of a thing there where I felt like it was over, like there was nothing much, I'll hang around and I'll be grateful. But I was surprised because there is a surprise in store if you hang around, at least for me there was, which I became really aware of that it's an inside job. I became really aware that character defects, if you hang around long enough, kind of wither away or die or go away or something. I became aware that I was really able to care about another human being more than myself. I really became aware that I'm here to kind of be a father to my children, even though they're in their 40s, but if they need me, I'm there for them. To be a grandfather for my grandkids, to be a husband for my wife, to be a friend to my friends, and when I occasionally work, to be a good... my life is of service. I never really got that. I have my own life, and it's mine, and I enjoy it, and it's private, and I'm really having a good life, but I'm also available. My wife told me a few weeks ago that for the first time, we sat down with my son, who was having some really serious problems, And I sat there and talked to him for hours and hours and hours. And she said, "You never did that." "Stop it, sis. God bless you."
Dan?
Hi, I'm Dan, and I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Dan.
And I don't come from New York. Born and raised in Texas. I got sober in the Navy also. I got sober in a treatment program there myself. Thing was, I was weaned and everything. Alcoholics Anonymous in the state of Texas also. I really learned how to, stay sober the first year and some odd down there, and then as things happen with the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, things change, and in the Navy, you get transferred. And I got transferred to a place overseas called White Beach, Okinawa. And I thought I'd never, ever see Alcoholics Anonymous again, and I was whining and crying just like a little baby to my sponsor on the phone over in San Francisco, getting ready to get on that plane. His sponsor took the phone out of his hand, after one of my whining and crying things. He says, "He told you what you needed to do. Read the book, work the steps, go to meetings, help somebody," and he hung up on me. That scared the heck out of me, and I'll tell you what, I did what he said, though. I went to a meeting that night, and I didn't have anybody with 30 days. It was probably more like 30 seconds, and I talked to this guy, But it was really the best thing that could have ever happened to me. I stayed sober. I don't know whatever happened to him, but I stayed sober. I went on a plane, came into a place called, it was Kadena Air Force Base. And I'm telling you, I'm still just scared to death. And I got off that aircraft, and I went into the terminal, and right there at this desk, right above the desk was an emergency status board. And the emergency phone numbers right up at the top was Alcoholics Anonymous. I knew God loved me that day. It was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. That was the first time, I think, that I ever really felt like I belonged, and I felt like it was part of, what I needed to do. And I found meetings all over the place there, in the Far East. This was back in 1974 when that happened. Anyway, I'm certainly glad that you're here, and more than that, I'm glad that I'm here. Thanks.
Thank you. Got too many charts. We now have, can't read my own writing, 907 years so far. And now we're going with the people from 20 through 29 years. And the first one, Carl Baggett, come up, 29. Jerry Geoflafis, 29. Karen Campbell, 29. Karen Campbell, okay. Come on up, Carl.
Hi, I'm Carl. I'm an alcoholic. Thanks, Peter. I love you, too. I came here just to support you. I knew you were going to be doing this thing. My sobriety date is November 12th, 1974. My home group is the Big Book Group in Bellflower, and I am actively sponsored by a guy who's actively sponsored, and I am actively sponsoring some people. And I've noticed tonight, or this afternoon, that theme seems to repeat readily, that the people who are here with length of time are doing those things. And I'd like to say I've been doing that all this 29 years, but there was a small period where about 10 years ago, a guy asked me to sponsor him, and I told him I was too busy. I was trying to be successful in another business. In fact, it's interesting, Ralph was just up here. I remember when I was 30 days sober going to a meeting where he was secretary, and we heard some of the most dramatic readings of the 5th chapter 5 I've ever heard in my life at that meeting. Anyway, I fell in with this sponsor who said that if he only worked with people who were active in the program, and he made me get active. And I became a chair setter-upper and a floor mopper and doing stuff like that. And when I was new, we actually did 12-step calls like Keith was talking about, where we call them up, give them honey and orange juice and go pick them up. I took this guy to this meeting, our Monday night home group, and I said, you know, I've been coming here for a year or so, and I've been sober all this time, and we go early and we set up chairs and we stay after and we mop the floor and do all that. He said, oh my God, what do they pay you for that? I'm still here, and I haven't seen old Chuck since. It's too bad, you know. But it's grateful to be here. My mother talked me into coming to the roundup in June of '74. And sitting in that banquet meeting, and old Joe Leaf was talking, telling some crazy joke, and people were laughing and having a good time. And I remember thinking, because I had been to some meetings for about 3 years, my folks were sober then, and in fact, I'd been to the sobriety capital of the world in Covina. My first meeting was the 502 Club on a Friday night in 1971 when my dad got 1 year, you know. It's crazy. I'm just so grateful to be here. You know, I have a daughter with 18 months now. I'm just tickled, you know. I'm busy all the time. I go on Saturday mornings, I go to a recovery house to pick up newcomers. And first time ever, I'm in a meeting and somebody steps up to me and says, are you Carl? My high school girlfriend, 2 years sober over here. And that relationship alone qualified both of us. Thank you.
Jerry?
Hi, my name is Jerry, and I am an alcoholic. Hi, Jerry. And my sobriety date is November 11th, 1974. I was 33 years old when I got into this fellowship, and crazy. And I just joined the senior center in Indio. I don't feel old, but I think I'm getting up there. But, you know, somebody earlier was talking about, you know, going to a meeting and the secretary not being there. When I was in Hawaii, and that's where I got sober, we went to a meeting, and for some reason the secretary got into the place, and then the guard came and locked the gate. So she's on one side of the gate, and we're on the other, and we just sat down on the sidewalk and had a meeting. And, you know, I'm truly, truly grateful for this fellowship, because I wouldn't have been able to join that senior center, because I would not have been a senior. I was pretty sick when I got here, and it's been a journey. It's had its ups and it's had its downs, but I'll tell you, it's been a journey. So I just want to say I'm grateful, and I just got a caution sign. So I'm going to close there. Thank you.
Karen?
I'm Karen, alcoholic, and my sobriety date is October 29, 74. I feel truly, truly blessed to be a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I can remember just like it was yesterday the god-awful shame I felt when I drank. As long as I've been sober, I've always wanted to be able to talk long enough for somebody to put up a stop sign, but that's just never happened. Thank you all.
Okay, we got a little while. Richard Clifford, Gwen Dutton, Larry Wilkes, Dutch Snyder, and Paul Corman.
I'm Richard Clifford, alcoholic.
Hey, Richard.
My sobriety date is January 29th, 1976. And I just very grateful to be here. It's the first time I've ever done anything like this. There's my friend Carrie, who came in just before me in 75, yeah. And he used to take me to meetings. used to come from his house in Beverly Hills and pick me up downtown in L.A. I was without a car. I had sold it because it got me to jail too many times. And so he was my transportation to all my first meetings. My first meeting was Radford. And I became a member of the Roxbury group in Beverly Hills, where Perry went. And we had the same sponsor at the time. I just want to say one thing. I was in Paris Monday, Paris, France, and I went to a meeting at noon, a meeting that I had helped start in 1977, and there, leading the meeting was a guy that I knew from the San Fernando Valley. And, and it's so, that's the miracle and wonder of Alcoholics Anonymous, and it's really a pleasure to be a member and an active member too. I'm very grateful. Thanks.
Gwen? Okay, Larry.
Whoops.
Okay, hold it.
My name is Larry Wilkes, and I am an alcoholic. And I love being sober, and I love the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. It's given me a life beyond my wildest dreams. My sobriety date is July 8th, 1975. And because of God and the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, I was able to walk through the stroke that took out my left side about 4 years ago, and I still have a great life. I'm very active. I do a lot of traveling. I do a lot of things I can't do that I used to do. But I still do a lot of stuff. I'm very busy. Because of God and the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, I have friends beyond my wildest dreams. The meetings I go to, these friends in Alcoholics Anonymous almost trip over each other to try to take care of Larry. I always choke up when I say that because it's true. Because of God and Alcoholics Anonymous, I have a 27-year-old daughter that's in NYU grad school, and she moved from Cypress, California to Greenwich Village. Never seen her dad drunk. She absolutely adores her dad, and her dad absolutely adores her. Because of God and Alcoholics Anonymous, I have a friend from Alexandria, Virginia. She's about 10 years sober, and we've had this cross-country relationship for 6 years. This is her 6th powwow. Because of God and Alcoholics Anonymous, I have a great life. I stole this from a guy that was at this very meeting last year, and I've been using it all year like it was my own. I don't give him credit. I just use it. And there was a guy up here last year, and he stood up here. He had, I forget what it is. He had something wrong with him. Parkinson's disease, yeah. And he said, the only real handicap in life is a bad attitude. Thanks.
Hi, my name's Gwen. I'm an alcoholic. It's really good to be here. And I'm so happy my friend Johnny Mack is here. A couple of years ago, my husband and I moved to this little town in the Sierra foothills, and I bumped into Johnny in a meeting, and we got to talking, and then we realized that, I think it was 32 years ago, we were both at the first Scottish convention in a place called Dunblane in Scotland. And we knew a lot of the same people, and whenever we see each other at meetings, which is pretty regularly, that's about all we do, is talk about the old days and the old folk. And we knew Alex's sister and brother, Walter and Mary. And it's amazing, Alcoholics Anonymous, it just circles the world. And, here's Johnny and me here today. It's incredible. This weekend, it's a little sort of bittersweet for me. I was thinking this morning, we weren't able to be here last year. My mum was dying, and I had to go back to England. But the year before, there were half a dozen of us that kind of spent the weekend together. And this morning when I was just sitting out by the pool and thinking and remembering, and we made a lot of plans a couple of years ago, and all 6 of us, and we were going to go here and to this convention and that convention and meet up and do a lot of things. And 2 of those people are dead. One of them died as a direct result of our disease, and she just wasn't able to stay sober one day at a time. But another one, a really special friend, passed away peacefully and sober. But it made me realize and appreciate just how incredibly important every single minute of my life is, because you just never know. And when I came to Alcoholics Anonymous, all I wanted from you was for you to teach me just not to drink for the next minute. That, you know, that would have been enough for me. Anyway, thank you.
We got a couple minutes. Dutch?
Hi, my name is Dutch, and I'm an alcoholic. And about a year ago, we finally, after looking all over the United States, decided to settle in Palm Desert. And to me, it seems like the sobriety capital of the world. I took a birthday this year for 28 years, and I was the 3rd youngest guy, you know. And so anyway, I think there's a lot of sobriety around here, a lot of years. But anyway, Pat O'Kay talked about the fact that you couldn't find a partial solution, and that's what I was looking for years and years, and living in a cardboard box along the side of the freeway while I did it. And finally, I found a final solution, and I was in a detox place up in Billings, Montana, and I was acting so crazy they locked me in a room, and I had a spiritual experience there. And the voice said, just go back to AA, everything will be all right. Didn't make any sense, but I did. And thank God I haven't had to have a drink since then. It's April 1st, 1976. And this wonderful life has unfolded for me. I could write a book about it, but you haven't got time for that today. See you later.
Last but not least is Paul.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Paul, and I'm an alcoholic. My sobriety date is July 8th of 1976, and I'm most grateful for that. I would really like to thank all the people who got up here this afternoon and shared, and I want to thank them for certainly being here when I got here, and they were certainly good to me. Guys like Keith C. and Duke G., who are members of my home group, which is the Pacific Group, and it's been my home group from that day up until today. And I'm just most grateful to be here. When I was really new in sobriety, I used to come to the powwow, and there was something about this that was very magical for me. And I've loved it ever since, and I've been coming back ever since. Thanks for making a 12-step call on me. Thank you.
Time has run out. I'm sorry for all the rest that are on the list, but we're governed by time.
Sorry to interrupt your viewing. Caper Dave here. Just wanted to take a second to ask you to like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know if you like what you're listening. I've got some very good talks here, and this one's a great one. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Tell me what you think. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right, but I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.